Good morning and welcome Commissioners Court, November 18th. We have a full quorum present. Carrie certified meeting was properly posted. If you'll please rise for prayer and pledges, Ginger.
Asking for your presence in this courtroom. If you may guide these gentlemen in a direction that is good for the residents of Walker County. Father, we love you and we thank you for all that you do for us. May we be reminded in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 19, in King James Version, Jesus is speaking, says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Father, may we all realize that if we know Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, we can call to be peacemakers because He resides in my heart. Father, may that peace flow through you, through us, and may your will be done in this court. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We have one citizen's input, Ms. Rigsby. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Judge, commissioners, I know you probably recognize my face by now. I have been appearing here over the last 3-4 years in behalf of some of our most vulnerable citizens. Don't have a voice for themselves. And I didn't just come, I know I'm on a mission. I was assigned to you guys by God. And when I say the assignment, I've asked that you take careful review of claims and invoices you all pay. Claims and invoices for representation and or services that should have been received by many of these children. And I say 85% of them probably reside in precinct 3. It's very disheartening. It's heartbreaking. Services that these children that were victims have been victimized again. They fall under the custody of Children's Protective Services. The Children's Protective Services Board fall under the Commissioner's Courts. Invoices that were paid out that shouldn't have been paid. It's irrefutable. I can spot cases, verifiable. One young man was assigned a child and the judge said that they would give him a crib, formula, diapers, daycare that he never got. The child was 3 days old and she's now 6. Still in diapers. I've tried to get it resolved here at the local level. And if I have to go higher, I am. We have some very hurtful circumstances here. And probably 40 of those children have verifiable diagnosis. So time and time again, I've brought it to your attention. I believe there's a possibility that the family court judge has got a whiff of it. I believe the county judge may have a whiff now. That young man had been calling, not to get answers, not knowing where to turn, time and time again, even trying to get in contact with the child's caseworker. Things that the board should have been overseeing, the board fell asleep at the wheel. They haven't met in years. It's been a crumbling. And I don't believe it's just gonna get resolved by just wiping them out and replacing with new board members, that's a help. But someone is going to be held accountable. So again, for the record, I have appeared before you. And I do know of cases where it has gone and had to be handled at the state level. We should get some things resolved here. Grandparents that were raising children died. The other parent was incarcerated. And we've stepped in and tried to assist. And I've been bringing it to the attention of you all because that board falls under this commissioner's court. Someone should have some input. Someone should have been taking notice. I've stood up in court where representation went on. And I'm saying, no, you didn't appear at that house because that house has been torn down for years by the city of Huntsville. So I don't know how it appears in this county, but in my eyesight, my studies, my research, it can't go on and not be considered. I don't know what we consider it here, but in my heart, I consider it almost as a conspiracy. And however, law enforcement, we have a assistant DA back there. I've spoken with former assistant DAs that I know that have appeared at my church and witnessed and even made the statement, Barbara, you all have more children here in this ministry than we do on the Hill. Because we were looking out for them. But legally, through the court system, they've been failing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richmond. Consent agenda contains 16 items.
We pull 9 and 10, please.
Vance,
That's it. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing 9 and
Second.
all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 9, approve the reappointment of Michael Bilberry and Floyd Garner to the Board of Emergency Service, District Number 3. My comments for both 9 and 10. We have a form online that we've asked everybody to fill out before we appoint them to committees. The only one that we've had filled back out and turned in is Mr. Lucher. They've been sent to both ESDs. So I'm gonna recommend for both of them. I don't know what Commissioner Kirkendall has on them, but to approve Stephen and 10, I know that's off, but that's my recommendation and that's my concern on 9 and 10. So anybody else want to talk 9?
And do we need to pass on it then?
Yes.
All right.
they don't expire till the end of the
They
year.
don't.
Yeah,
till
no,
December.
I'm good with it.
So-
I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
we're doing them separate, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. we
But
need to
my
pass on
comment
that.
was for both.
Yeah.
So
So we need. to
everybody
pass.
go pass on 9?
I'm fine with it. I mean, everybody can fill the
Yeah.
forms out and get it back to your
Yeah.
office
All
and
right,
get it
cool.
back on.
Pass on 9. Number 10, approve the reappointment of Lisa Olson, Stephen Lucher, and Kelsey Hammock to the Board of Emergency Service District 1.
We're gonna approve Stephen since he's done the.
I don't know what Danny's got.
I'll be
Pulling.
present but not voting.
Oh,
Yes,
is that your only comment?
Yeah.
So my comment stands again for number 10.
And he has filled out the form.
He has filled
Well,
out-
let's go ahead and approve Stephen then.
I'll make the motion to approve Stephen Lucher, reappoint him to the Board of Emergency
I'll
Services.
second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. You're right.
I'm out.
We got 4 to approve with Commissioner Kirkendall, present not voting. Motion approved. All right, number 17, discuss and take action on Walker County EMS write-off policy. Rachel?
So back, you guys voted on the write-off policy. I brought it back so we could get it signed and get it. Have any issues with it.
I looked over it, everything looked good, so
Yeah, me too.
I didn't. Y'all see any issues? I didn't see anything.
All in favor, I'll make the motion to approve.
Number 17.
Number 7.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Number 18, discuss and take action on the purchase of a 2025 Tahoe from Sames Government Fleet Sales in the amount of $54,500 with the remaining $13,326 to be used for upfitting as approved for fiscal year 2025 budget.
Yes, so we've been working with purchasing to procure a vehicle. along with some of the other departments, wanted to move forward on this Tahoe, which will match our chimney with Tahoe. And then just up there.
All right, the money's there, right, Patricia? Anybody got any problems? I don't see anything. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 19, discuss and take action on paying $1,207.50 for the lodging from budgeted funds in fiscal year 2024.
Okay, so we sent some people to a conference back in January of 2024. We had booked our rooms through bedrooms, the appropriate booking. When our crews got there, they found that the hotel that was booked was very dirty. They didn't feel comfortable staying there. All of the rooms were pretty deplorable. So they reached out to me to see if they could cancel the room and move to another hotel. I approved it. Steve Toman was the supervisor that was supervising that group. The hotel said that they were going to refund those rooms since the rooms were dirty. Anyways, long story short, the rooms ended up never getting refunded. We followed up several times. In February, we were told that they were going to be refunded. And then we found out in October that they were actually never refunded. So I opened a complaint with the hotel, tried to contact the manager multiple times, never could get a hold of the manager. The initial person I talked to when I filed the complaint said that it would be no problem. They would get it refunded, but the hotel manager had to kind of close that loop. That never happened. When I followed up on it, they said that they would not refund the rooms. Tried to dispute it with Citibank, but too much time has passed. They're not going to allow us to dispute it. So I didn't know, the rooms have already been paid for. I guess we just need to back up document. I'll agree, guys, on the procedure.
All right. You probably spent more than $1,200 chasing it, probably.
Probably so.
Mr. Patricia, you have a comment? I thought I seen you.
No, it was set up as a receivable. We were told it was going to be refunded, following up on the receivable, but obviously they're not going to refund it, so.
Well, don't do any more business with them.
Absolutely not. We will not be staying in any of their holes.
Yep.
Make the motion to approve agenda item 9 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 20, discuss and take action on removing the burn ban.
I put this on the agenda, then I visited with Butch last week to hold fire chief around the neighborhood and said, everybody, there's no objections from the fire chiefs and stuff around here. So I'm gonna make the motion to rescind the burn ban effective immediately.
I just want to talk for a minute. I researched this and it says the Commissioners Court may adopt an order on county judge or fire marshal to terminate a burn ban under section 352.081. I don't know, maybe next time if we can write this order in. I mean, we had to wait for 2 weeks and I know y'all been getting bombarded. However we structure it, I'd like to say that we probably next time we put the burn ban on, we put that language in there that gives the judge the authority to take that off.
Did you run this by Clinton?
KBI, I have not.
Cause we got some,
That's been the custom.
I thought we've already settled this.
Right, I mean, exactly. There was a time when the county judge previously would put a burn ban on and then the court would ratify it.
Mhm.
I did give an opinion that that doesn't follow the code and you can't do that. But when you issue a burn ban as a court, the judge does have the authority to terminate it. There's no problem with it coming back to court to terminate it either. It's just kind of whatever you choose to do.
Okay,
So
so next time it comes
So
up,
that paperwork said that we have to put it in the burn ban that I have the authority to remove it.
that's what I'm
Right.
getting at.
okay,
So we can kind of do it like we do the emergencies. We can put it in there in the bottom if y'all want it. If not, it doesn't matter. to
Yeah,
me.
that's fine. You want-
So we can Butch can take a poll from all the fire departments, talk around and make a suggestion to the county judge to remove the burn ban and we can
Yeah.
work that in the next one.
all right,
That's fine.
I'll second your motion. Bill.
all right.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your hand.
That was effective immediately.
Right now, it's done.
Immediate.
Immediate.
They're burning anyway, so.
Right now.
So,
Yeah.
21, discuss and take action to accept the election returns for the general election held on November 5th, 2024.
I make a motion to approve.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 22, discuss and take action on all county road name signs will be metal and that the funds for the metal signs will come from Road and Bridge General.
You will make that motion, Brandon?
I am gonna make that motion.
I'll second it then.
Moved in second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 23, discuss and take action to purchase John Deere wheel loader from federal surplus. Item number TX 024 3033 34 001 in the amount of $15,000 from precinct 4 funds.
I thought you was looking for one, Bill.
I am.
Got beat to this one.
Yeah, well, I looked at it, but we just didn't act on this one, but it looked like, that's one of the like shiny brand new yellow motor in it, I think.
Yeah,
That one's
got a
good.
brand new motor. My motion can be approved out in 20.
I'll second that for you.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 24, discuss and take action on interlocal agreement between New Waverly ISD and Walker County to construct driveway.
It's needed, with the driveway is about 115 foot. My motion to is gonna be to approve this agreement.
I read through it. I think it reads pretty well. I'll second your motion.
Quentin on board. I've reviewed the document, the statutory authority that's cited is valid. I have no legal objection.
Sounds good.
Moved in second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 25, discuss and take action on projects being submitted for new grants. So I got a list from Brandon to put in. We're turning it in Wednesday. Anybody got ideas? You got your list together?
Can we do roads?
We can do
Basically.
roads. We have 3 projects. We can do roads and then 2 others. So if you can get kind of a list together to Ally with a projected cost, so she can turn those in Wednesday.
Okay.
Y'all have, I know we talked to Butch about doing the communication tower and upgrade radios for everybody in the county as another project. Are y'all good with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
And then we still have a third one. If we can't come up with something, we can do 2 roads or 2 project groups of roads, because I think they're capped on total money. And then we also
So what
talked
was the
about,
money? We don't know.
no, we don't know. We're up to 22 million that we can get.
Eligible.
Yeah. And then we also talked about the generators for the other buildings. I don't know if we can loop that in with the radios.
Or do the
How-
roads fall under the LMI where they have to be low to moderate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and remember, this has got that short fuse.
That's
It's
2
Yeah.
years.
2 years, you
Yeah.
gotta have it done.
Well, and that's, so I watched some of the last court when I wasn't here, and that's some of my questions is, you know, the generators, you gotta have all this stuff turned in? I mean, so you got
Overview.
civil engineering.
Right,
and-
no. So we can say, hey, we got 8 generators that estimated this amount, and then you have the 2 years to get it all engineered and everything else. They need an idea of the scope of work.
I mean,
so
I know we
if-
can throw roads together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not a big
I mean,
deal.
we-
So we need you to
That's what
put
I've
your
wanted
roads
before.
together and say, hey, this is projected idea of money. And then we can go from there after the engineering and all. But you can do the same thing on the radios, generators, everything. But we might can loop the generators into the radio.
But this is a cost share grant, right?
It is
Was it 10%?
10%.
10% per project.
Yeah, which is
2 or
all of
10?
10.
Well, that's better than some of them.
Oh, yeah,
10%'s
yeah.
not bad,
No,
so.
it's not bad.
All right, well, I'll get you a list of the roads I think might qualify
Yeah, give them to Ally. So,
and
She's
the
gonna-
estimate of what it would cost. You just need an estimate, right?
yeah, just estimate.
Roads is easy. That-
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you figure, you know, we done a mile and a half and $1 million
Yeah.
for the last
Yeah.
grant, so. You know, I don't know, I mean, what you gonna turn in for, but
Well, I think I've got some roads that would qualify,
Yeah.
but it's getting harder and harder to qualify
oh,
under the
yeah,
LMI
absolutely.
with all the people moving in. So,
Richie, have you started a list on radios? Have you been working on radios? And I know Larry's been working on generators. So
So we're gonna
we're good with that?
put those together. Or is that
Yeah.
gonna be two separate?
I can put those together and let y'all take one on roads or split them up and try to get the most.
Yeah.
2 projects of roads. Then 1 project on generators, radios.
What kind of frame are you looking at on money though? I mean, on roads, I mean, are we sticking to a million each or 2 million or?
Well, the minimum project is 500,000. It's only
Yeah.
like 20, we say 20 something million.
Yeah.
Total.
Overall.
You're competing against like 40 or 50 counties for that pot. So it's gonna be pretty competitive.
No, ours is, we're qualified for 22. It's a total of a couple hundred million.
Yeah, it's big. Just
Yeah.
a little part of it is
This
roads.
is just,
Cause Harvey
Yeah.
has a whole big pile of it.
So I know it's due on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Andy?
Should have to be a nuts and bolts projects or studies only.
You have to be able to tie it back to Harvey
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So,
talking about like a
We've
floodplain.
never had a countywide floodplain.
Yeah, like a floodplain stuff.
And you
In
get
fact,
that,
you're fixing to have an agenda item that's coming up on that.
Yeah.
So,
and you do that start to finish in 2 years.
good question. I'd have to check into that.
You got to win.
We need
You don't have.
Ally, can we send a note and ask about that one?
I mean, it'd be a good shot. I mean, we need one. There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And if we could squeeze it in there somewhere, it'd be dang sure beneficial.
Timeline's what worries me.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Timeline.
I'll check.
All right, so Wednesday morning, by Wednesday morning, I prefer Tuesday afternoon, but
Yeah.
Okay.
You brought up a good question.
Huh?
You brought up a good question. Where are we gonna be at? I mean, we want to at least turn in for 22 million.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
that's a good point, but how are we gonna get there? But also the 10% match too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, when the projects fund where money was set aside, we have about 4 million in our capital projects fund.
But we've got that GLO project hanging over
Yeah.
its head.
Yeah.
That's that much.
Not the match, though, is it?
No. but
No, the
it's
match is
money
not.
spent though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly will be part of our underlying funding, but it would not be an allocation of funds.
All right, well, we'll get you some
Yeah,
roads.
we'll throw it down there and see what happens.
get us some stuff. Anybody got anything else on that? All right. We'll go to planet. Larry, you good on removing signs today? Good, perfect. Go to planning and development 26. Public hearing concerning plat number 2024-021. Replats of lot 20A of Oak Creek subdivision, Missouri Web Survey. Time is 9:25. Public hearing is open. Is there anybody to speak up on that publicly? Andy?
The variance. Going to be a variance. We're providing out one right from this lot here, variance is going to come up, slightly off. Frontage here. Solid acre. This frontage that gets to an acre. Geometry of it,
That's 23 instead of 125.
123.45. A little over a foot and a half off. Yeah,
That's not too bad, right?
pretty close.
Anybody else?
Like what I say, like, you know, you got this ride, how to ride the ride. Well, if they had their boots on, they'd make it.
All right, time's 9:26. Public hearings closed. 27, discuss and take action on Justin Ramsey request for variance to section B 2.1 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding minimum road frontage of plot number 2024-021.
You got any contingencies on it, Andy? You good with it?
No, I don't have any. The request is for 23.46 and lieu of the 125 required.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 28, discuss and take action on plat number 2024-021, replat of lot 20A of Oak Creek subdivision.
Motion to approve agenda item 28.
Moved and seconded, all in Brandon. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 29, public hearing concerning plat number 2024-034, replat of lots 6 through 8, block 1, section 8 of Wildwood Shore subdivision. Time is 9:27. Want here to speak on that? Okay, Andy?
Well, similarly to replat, they're combining lots. See a lot of these come. Now known as lot 6A.
Sticking with the same right of ways and all that stuff. Right. Originally private.
Carrie, where we at, 27 or 28?
Private.
9:27.
Time's 9:28. Public hearing is closed. Number 30, discuss and take action on plat number 2024-034, replat of lot 6 through 8, block 1, section 8 of Wildwood Shore subdivision.
Contingencies.
No, just as I always try to note, it's a private Lena King Road subdivision.
Move to approve item 30.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 31, discuss and take action on Charlene Pierce request for variance to section A2.2.3 of the Walker County subdivision regulations regarding family grant requirements. 31.
Ms. Pierce, for talk.
Yes.
Come on up.
Good morning.
Charlene Pierce.
All I'm trying to do is sell to some cousins of mine. This is the original plot that I own is the John Malik place. And it was originally purchased. He was one of the first settlers in Walker County in the late 1800s. And it's been in the Malik family for years. And I'm one of the inheritors of that. So just trying to get it to sell that 1 acre to my cousins.
So the request is on, trying to make a request under an exception. The exception is for degree of consequence for pennies. They're slightly beyond that. I think maybe you're a bit worth. And so that's what they're for. That's the variance they're requesting.
Oh, I'll follow them.
Go with it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm fine with it, Brandon.
Now it'll all be back in the Malik family.
Move to approve item. Any contingencies?
Thank you.
No, sir. Move as grant me the issue exception. We'll go from there.
Move to approve 31 as presented.
Sure.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 32, discuss and take action on E number 2024-014 Rayford R. Pierce property. Same thing.
Same thing, move to approve.
Thanks, sir.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 33, discuss and take action on Darren Frazier request for variance to floodplain management regulations of Walker County for lot 1, block 1, section 8 of Riverside Lakeland. Good morning. You'll tell Ms. French your full name?
Adam Bento with Blisle Engineering, here with Mr. Darren Frazier, property owner. I give a good background, let him dive in on some specifics, but basically, this is an area, up just downstream from 19 Riverside area. The current regulations, from FEMA have required us to use the BLE study data, which has been noted to be overly conservative for generating a flood elevation in this area. It's created a situation where the Fraziers are unable to meet the restrictions, require slab on grade, brick all the way to grade, but also meet the flood elevation dictated by FEMA with this new data set. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence going back from all the stream gauge data locally that these elevations are in excess of anything ever experienced there. None of the neighbors have ever flooded. I've been there for many decades. And so we're looking to clear the air on that and hopefully they're in a situation where they can construct at the historically approved elevation, which was provided by the TRA flowage easement elevation. Ms. Frazier's got letters from TRA claiming this fact, coordinated with neighbors to, try to ensure that whatever they construct at will not be at an elevation that is flooded for any of the neighboring properties. So, Mr. Frazier.
I mean, these last few floods that we've had were the worst we've ever had. Never even got even close to coming up on top of the property. We've got pictures of the flood, of the neighbors. Like you said, I have letters from all the neighbors saying they've never flooded. Through the whole process of the purchase of the land, FEMA was never mentioned, from the title insurance to the septic design. The TRA coming out telling me where the septic has to go, never mentioned. All he ever mentioned was the flow easement that goes around. And then when I hired all the right people to fill out my paperwork for the building permit so that it wouldn't have any issues. And I go in and see this man here and he takes them back there and come back and he said, you know, I'd love to give you permits, but you're in the flood zone. That's the first I heard of it. So I go back to the TRA and he pulls up his data. He doesn't even show FEMA's new flood data. And then, you know, I go to the homeowners association meetings and I'm telling them, they say, well, we don't allow houses on stilts. I've got a $7,000 house plan that doesn't, you can't even put it on 3-foot stilts. I mean, it's not designed for that. My property, most everybody else's property kind of goes down like that to their bulkhead. Our property is up like this. It's going to take about 8 to 10 foot of bulkhead for me to level it out to be level, because I don't want to mow my grass down like that. So my bulkhead will be way up in the air. It'll be consisted of 2x2x6 limestone blocks stacked on one another up to where I can get the height. If I need to go higher than that and have the land go up and put drains out to the water, I can do that also. But from everything that I've done, I've laid out where the slab would be on the property, and I did it very conservatively. I've only made the slab about that high, but we all know there's going to be a pad and the slab, so it's probably going to be more like that. I've got pictures of where that would come to on my next door neighbor's property, and he's going to have 2 foot of water in his house before it ever gets to the top of my slab. Like I say, the history shows that this has never been flooded. I've got the letters, and even the TRA is telling me that if that water gets up on my property where we're at, it's going over the dam. We got more bigger issues than my house. I have always self-insured myself through the years. I've been in business 36 years. I paid myself a premium for insurance. I have about $1 million in that account for my own insurance. I don't need FEMA stuff. And if, you know, when you live on the lake, if the water comes in, put new floors and new cabinets in, she's probably ready for it anyway. You know, I mean, it's just part of living on the lake, but that I'm willing to do, you know, but I mean, just the history alone shows that it hasn't, none of them have flooded in over 40 years. They've all been there. You know, and I wouldn't waste, I'm gonna build $1 million house. I wouldn't waste $1 million on something I know that's gonna flood. You know, I'm not that stupid. I'm not the most, I'm just not that dumb. Yeah.
Your statement is exactly what we've been telling FEMA for 18 months. When they called us up and dropped those new numbers on us. I'm in precinct 3. I'm your commissioner. I think we talked on the phone. We told them at that time, it was ridiculous from my history being out there, that, you know, like you said, the floodage elevation goes to 140, even if they cheated and it goes to 140, slightly above, even like it did this last time. This 149 is way up in the sky, and it was going to kill not just Lakeland, but all the other subdivisions in there will not be developing out there. To say the least, they were not very receptive of our comments. They just pretty much told us, you know, it is what it is. We'll come back and reevaluate it later. And we're like, well, you know, when is later? Well, we don't know, but we'll come back one day. So they have been non-budging on that number, and we have to stay within their regulation, just because we work with FEMA so much on so many things here. So, I don't know, in his position, he can do the massive elevation study. Could he do that on his own, or is that where are we at with that one, Andy? I mean, pick me up right.
So based on our conversations when the court adopted the BLE data initially, was that FEMA in their guidance shows the BLE data is to be considered as best available unless there's a detailed study.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow us to use some of the old methodologies we used to use under the FEMA 265 method, which were interpolation and other things that were used consistently prior to the release of the BLE data set. You know, if the court grants the variance today, what will FEMA say about it? I couldn't tell you, right? I just know that when we had this conversation, we actually prepared and we presented it to FEMA. Some of our concerns about modeling. Say they're going to come back at some point and relook at it, but I don't know when that timeline is. We've issued at least one, maybe two permits so far using this new height down in the Greenwood Shores area.
Right.
Um,
And they are up in the sky. Yeah, I don't know if you drove to Greenwood Shores. They're way up in the sky.
So FEMA's at 149. Right? What are you building at?
With my slab, I'll be at about 142.5. And 141, I believe, goes over the dam. Okay, also, I mean, if y'all deny this, you know, I've purchased property, I purchased the house plans, I've already paid for the septic design, the septic people. I've got $230,000 tied up into a piece of property that because I am a Christian, just like y'all prayed earlier, will not be able to sell to somebody else knowing they can't build on it.
Right.
And through this whole process, I cannot believe that not one entity has not said, hey, wait a minute, you know, you're buying a piece of property that FEMA has screwed up. I don't believe anybody's known.
Yeah.
You know, so now here I am stuck with $230,000 I can't do nothing with. That I paid cash for. Hard-earned money.
Now, if
This
we,
is our retirement home. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
It's when he came out and said that FEMA moved the floodplain, it was like, you remember that feeling you had when you lost your first girlfriend? That knot in your stomach, it wouldn't go away.
A bit too long ago.
It's still there.
It would essentially make it an undeveloped property at that.
well, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
If we approve a variance that allows to build below the FEMA established line, we have to self-report it, right? We basically have to tell them that we did.
anytime you grant a variance to the CFR regs or your current adopted policy, that variance has to be a copy we have to forward to FEMA.
Yeah.
If the court wishes, I can approach FEMA directly. We kind of told them. I could have an I told you so meeting, right, that this was coming. We have similar issues because we have some substantially damaged properties that are in those same neighborhoods that are looking at these same heights. To see if there's anything they can do to turn that up on their schedule. But if the court gives me permission, I can approach FEMA directly with this particular application and the facts of this application to see if they will give us any feedback on it prior to court making a decision. But I wasn't going to do this.
Yeah. And we really, rather than telling them, hey, one day this is gonna happen, I would like to go back to them and say, hey, like you say, we told you so. This happened. Today is here. You told us 149. We just lived through the worst flood we've ever had. It was 140.5.
Just did, I think we just did a temporary permit on a mobile home to be built at this height, to be elevated to this height in Greenwood Shores last week.
Yeah.
Because it was substantially damaged.
But I hope you see our side of it too.
I do.
If we give you this variance, you know, we just talked about the possibility of $22 million. You know, and it puts us red flagged if we do something that's against.
Is there any type of?
We're caught in between on this deal.
Is there any?
Just as y'all are.
type of, letters or anything that I can sign that relieves y'all of any wrongdoing? Like I say, I self-insure myself.
Well, and that was a good point. I was gonna bring that up, you know, if Andy does go to FEMA and say, look, you know, this man's self-insured, you know, he's willing to take the risk in his own hands. That may help. I don't know,
And,
you know,
I would invite any one of y'all to go out to that property and look and stand on that property and look at every other property in that subdivision. And I'm standing up above looking down on them.
Yeah.
If I go up 10.5 foot, my bottom floor is gonna be looking at my neighbor's roof.
Yeah.
And there's no, I mean, and I'm 63 years old. Going up and down stairs is not my idea of a retirement. I want to get out of my car, walk into my front door and be there. If it floods, rip the floor out, rip the sheetrock out, put new stuff in, because that woman gets tired of stuff quick. So it'll be time for new floors and new sheetrock anyway.
I think that's the action I think that I would like to go to would be to take your information. Probably if your engineer would write a letter of opinion, probably carry more weight than just a personal letter saying, and then have Andy get a hold of the FEMA people and let's have a conversation there first and see if there is any wiggle, because what we do for one, we have to do for everybody. And
Right.
even like you're self-insured, you move in on Wednesday and you're like, this place sucks, and you sell it on Monday to somebody else. We have to be there for that too. So let's do that. Let's get your information. Y'all get with Andy and let's put together a little package and say, not say we told you so, but we told you so. And here we are. And then maybe we get a hold of the person who has the mobile home permit and tell them to pause just for a minute.
Our biggest issue right now is that we don't have a superior data set. Like FEMA's central argument is, oh, you have a higher order data set that ELE is the data set, right? And that's what they have in their guidance document. So that's what we've been living with. Just for the court's memory on this, when the court adopted it, they adopted the height of the BLE to be used in the existing zone A's. We did not expand our zone A's to include
Right.
the BLE area, right? So there are areas in the BLE that when they come in for me for a permit, that do process if they're outside zone A and in BLE, I'm not, because we did not change our boundary. We just changed, it's adopted as the height restriction. So I can do that.
Let's do it.
To spend the time doing it, but I didn't want to do it without, telling them to go in that direction.
But we've
It's not
talked
a
about
standard-
doing
it's
it.
Not a standard practice.
Yeah, well, we've talked about doing it since they brought it to us. Then you've had some things you've been going through with them that we had to kind of wait for a little bit for that dust to settle. I think it's probably settled, and now we have somebody if you're willing to go through the door with us, we'll walk through and see what we can do with it. I think that's all we can offer.
I think you got nothing else, but that's it.
Like septic design, you have to go through the TRA.
Yeah.
And he would have known that FEMA had moved the line.
Yeah.
We would stop this long before we had
Yeah.
$7,000 in designs and everything else. I've been stuck with a $200,000 piece of property.
Yeah.
Somewhere
out there, somebody should have caught it before you got to Andy's flat office.
Before I got this far.
But he's often the bearer of bad news, and that's just what happens.
Just my opinion, but, I would like to give Mr. Frazier, a light at the end of the tunnel. If Andy goes off and does this for a month or 2 months and we can't get anywhere with FEMA, then, personal opinion, but I'd like to issue him that variance. Come back in a couple of months, say, hey, we didn't get any response from FEMA, issue it to him, report it to FEMA, press the issue. Make them bring it to bring it up to them, make them do something.
I don't think we do that yet.
I don't think you can make them do anything.
Right, but that's just,
Yeah.
you gotta give him a light at the end of the tunnel somewhere.
Well, he's welcome to come back after he has the conversation, but once again, if you give the man the variance, that's the foot on the gas pedal. It's time for him to go. And I mean, I wouldn't, if you gave me the variance, I'm building.
I'm saying in a couple of months, if we're still messing around with FEMA, they hadn't responded to Andy and come back and let's talk, reevaluate it again.
You're saying 60 days down the road or so, and he hasn't gotten any satisfaction or at least the answer that you want us to circle back for another year. I can do that.
That's what I'd like to see happen.
Well, right now, we're gonna send him with Andy, let Andy have the conversation,
Yes.
and then we'll see what, they're pretty good about, especially if they're gonna give you a big fat no, they'll answer pretty
This
quick.
was not my question. I always try to play by the rules. This is somebody that
Absolutely.
lives in Riverside.
Yeah.
He said, if they don't give you that, what are your consequences if you just build the damn thing?
Let's just don't go down that road until you visit with Andy
Yeah,
and do the thing.
It's not gonna be good.
It's not,
It ain't good, okay.
It's not a good road.
it won't be pretty, I'll just put it that way.
Okay. Right,
Yeah.
Should be able to get a hold of somebody.
You can get a-
Well, and so are you gonna also, Andy, involve the mobile home?
I think we should
I mean,
contact
is
them.
this in Greenridge Shores down there?
Yeah,
And so it was a flood that they're having to.
yeah, they're having to come up now to the.
They
Soon.
didn't, yeah, they didn't apply for a variance, so.
You know, another thing I might think about, and this isn't a threat, I swear to God, but they moved it, and we've all been talking about it now, that my property is worthless. So they moved the flood zone halfway through all these houses on Lakeland. It gets to my next door neighbor, cuts across mine, past the other next door neighbor, puts us three in the 100% flood zone, making the property not worth much, and now they're gonna go protest their taxes. Then you're gonna lose your tax base.
Yeah, well, we can't do anything about where they draw the lines.
I know.
That's just where those
it
go.
just seems like somebody might wanna tell FEMA, hey, y'all messing with our tax base now. You know, because, I'm sorry I started the ball rolling on that, because all I was doing was asking each one of them, have you flooded?
Yeah.
Did you know that they had moved?
Yeah.
And nobody even knew that they moved the flood.
Well, no, it's not just you. This has been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while, and we knew eventually it was gonna come to an end, and hopefully we can get something done with it, you know?
All right, y'all get with Andy and let's roll. Yeah,
All right.
Thank you.
wish you luck.
Good luck with it.
Pass on this?
Yeah, let's take no action.
Yeah, no action, 33.
You're okay tonight, I can still have them bring it back. It's up to you guys, but I won't, there's no fee on the floodplain variance, so I can bring them right back with the same application.
That's fine, Andy.
Or if you want to pass.
Pass on it. I don't want to deny it, have
Yeah,
a mark that
Pass,
we,
pass on
have a
33.
record that we passed, that we
Yeah.
passed, that we.
34, discuss and take action on Vicky Modlin request for variance to on-site sewer facility regulations of Walker County regarding TAC chapter 285.6 for permit number 2024-0328, lot 17, block 15 of Riverside Harbor.
This one had the tank under the house.
Under the house.
It's just that low under the room, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's added onto the house.
It's a big deal.
So. Code requires that whenever you abandon a tank, you stop using it, that it be crushed and backfilled. On the drawing, they usually note the tanks and they note that it's to be crushed and backfilled. We get this one in. The original drawing showed it in a different location outside the boundary. When this one came in, it showed it under the house. They're asking for a variance to not abandon the tank. Keep it there. We have a set of tanks that are in use. It has to be 5 foot outside the building. Maybe it was originally 5 foot out of the building before they expanded over it. It wasn't previously a permitted system, so the variance request for the Commissioner's Court would be to allow that tank stay in place unabandoned below the home,
But out of use, not you.
Being used.
but not being
Right.
incorporated into the current system.
Right, it's just going around it.
Yeah, not incorporated into the current system, but allow the abandoned tank to stay under the home.
Is it been pumped out or anything?
Brandon, it's not been pumped out, so. Come on up, Dan. That way you can
So
tell them who you are.
this
I
lady.
think they know, but
His property with this house and the homeowner said, look, we think the septic tank's over here. So that's what we went off of on the design. We went out, couldn't locate it, just kind of based off what the original homeowner said, designed it that way. We knew we'd have to excavate and would find it with the new. So when we put it in, on the back of that add-on, we had to go underneath the house and just follow the pipes. Well, that add-on's about that high off the ground, and then that tank's right square underneath it, and there's really no way to get under there to do anything with it without tearing the add-on off to properly abandon it. It's not in use, everything's been disconnected, it's on the new system. It's just that tank is sitting right underneath the add-on.
Concrete tank, yeah,
It's a concrete tank.
so it should be fine.
It should be, and the homeowners, I talked to her about this, I said, look, we'll try to do the variance, but if at any time y'all ever tear the add-on off, which there's a good possibility of that, we're gonna have to properly abandon it, and they're on, if they'll grant us the variance, we tear it down, we'll come back and properly abandon.
my one request is that my office not be asked to monitor that happens.
Monitor that tank.
There's no way that,
Well, I mean, we can,
Yeah.
when we do our quarterly checks on it, if we find that the add been torn down, we can report it and make sure that it's taken care of.
Yeah, the only way you would know about it, Andy, is if they come back for a building permit.
Yeah.
Exactly, and sometimes if they're tearing something out, then
Yeah.
they're coming to me for a building permit, and we may not know that it's happening.
Yeah.
So the negatives of the tank, a couple of negatives is it's under there, so I don't know what kind of shape it's in, I don't know what kind of shape the lid's in, if somebody's crawling under there 10 years from now and the lid caves in, or, if they can't get it pumped and it produces sewer gas or those kinds of things, I just want to heads up on that stuff.
Sure.
You can't allow it unless there's a variance.
Sure. And the fact that it's covered makes me feel better. It's not like it's out in the yard and somebody's gonna fall off in it,
Correct.
break the lid with a lawnmower and fall off and stuff like that. So I'm gonna make the motion to approve the variance request from number 34 as presented.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
35, public hearing concerning amendments to Walker County subdivision regulations under chapter 232 of Texas Local Government Code. Time is 9:55.
Can we hold real quick before we do that and find out why Stacy's hanging around? Stacy,
You might want to sign paper.
can we just do that real quick so you can go? We already approved it in the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Yes.
And who has the resolution?
I have it.
Ellen?
All right. Out of here. All right.
Wait.
We
I
get
thought
into
you just
three
liked
items from
staying
the-
with us, Stacy.
Yeah, but this is discussion of planning. Sometimes they go along.
We think a lot highly of Stacy.
As you should.
Thank you.
We don't care about you. Oh, we do care about you though, Wade.
Thank you, Stacy.
Yeah, let me start writing some stuff about you. We'll see
Little
you
bit.
perk that up. a little.
All right, Andy, you're back up.
I'll raise your bar a little.
It's a public hearing, so it's, I was asked to place this on the agenda, some minor revisions and some discussion back and forth. Anytime that we bring this, we post it in the newspaper, and then we always include a public hearing section, so that if there's anybody from the public that has any other comments, that we have an opportunity to be heard by the court. That's where we are now, so I don't know if there's anybody here that wants to speak to it, or
Looks like most of them were like grammatical, just a few.
a lot of it was some clarification and grammar.
Yeah.
There's a few that are higher effect, and I'll go over them one by one if you'd like to do it now, or if you want to do it during the actual action item.
Well, since ain't nobody got any public comment, I guess we could do the next one, huh?
Yeah, doing it in actions. We don't have anybody.
What I didn't see in here, Andy, was, and maybe it's a future one, maybe, but we discussed before about when somebody subdivides a lot or not subdivide a lot, but puts two or more structure.
Yes, we have this is sort of a small bite. We're gonna come back, we're gonna have it's gonna include discussions on those, not that we can't discuss that today. But I have a bigger package that's maybe a little more complex, that's probably gonna be circling back to the court here in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
But probably after the holidays, looking at, but it's open, the way we posted it, the way it's on there. It's discretion today, to have discussions about anything that they feel like. So just so you all know, it's not limited to just the red line items that are in the draft. If you want to discuss something else today,
Are you planning on bringing all this back to us, or we're gonna make these decisions today and then implement today?
well, what's in the draft, it's on the agenda today. There is an action item on the agenda to approve.
I don't think, no, not really.
We're gonna jump to this.
Okay.
Changes. So go through the draft and you guys have no objection to changes that are redlined. We could adopt those today. If there's other things you guys want to add, we can discuss those. If you want to add those today, you could. If you want to say, discuss other items and say, hey, I'd like you to bring this back. We'll adopt these today and then bring this back with another revision. We can do that as well. So your ballgame.
Yeah, I would say anything major probably ought to come back. And we are a week before Thanksgiving and people are probably out of town. And I'm fixing to fuss at the city for the same thing, a public hearing a few days ahead of Thanksgiving. So I kind of know how they would feel with us if we made major decisions today.
Well, let's go over what we have in here redlined and you guys can decide whether it's major, it needs to be maybe involved one and have another hearing. Or whether you guys want to put it today, and then if there's other stuff you guys want to discuss related to potential changes, there's no reason we couldn't do that as part of the discuss item. That you guys have.
Yeah.
That way you could bring it back.
Yeah, and as far as the crushed concrete, is that in there today? That needs to be done today.
That is in there today, but I don't know where you consider that on the list of needing additional hearings or not.
None.
Hey, I'm good with throwing it out right now. I have no problem with it. After what we've been dealing with in the last few months.
You wanna do this in public or in the discussion?
Sure call.
Let's do it in discussion. Y'all good with that?
Yeah, let's go to the
We're gonna skip. All right. Public hearing is closed at 10 o'clock. We're gonna skip to number 37 and then we'll go back to all this stuff. We just got it done. 37, discuss and take action on approval of revisions to plans for New Waverly Place, section 1, plot number 2019-023. I should have caught all that line up. Let's put everything together. So y'all are up, Andy.
Yeah, they need to be on.
But y'all are more welcome to stay for the discussion.
I didn't figure y'all wanted to stay either, so.
The first item is actually. So you're on 37.
Yes, sir.
Discuss and take action on approval of revisions to plans, remove section 1. So you guys have a letter from Lyle from Stephanie. You. Listed. Yeah, I'm reading that.
This is part of the punch list, so this is.
Yeah, it was on another email.
It was another email. I did read it.
Oh, yeah, you don't mind.
When we looked at the background is really going through things, that when we made the offer to acquire the 115 acres for section 3, the prior developer had some outstanding items to correct for streets and drainage. And there was an issue with drainage kind of in this back area. That was causing some tilt and runoff right along here. So this is just an item that was in the punch list of that original walkthrough that we did. And so we've done the plans to go along with that project. And I think this is the continued approval in order for as we continue to work with Lyle and submitting corrections to them. I think we'll have the right to that approval.
Yeah, so what's before the court today is there were some changes like she mentioned, there were some changes made to the plans, dealings. The main part of them, is Stephanie on?
Yes.
The main part of them dealing with drainage issues here that weren't addressed by the original plan set. There's some other minor things that were included in the submittals, the revised submittals for section 1. They've been reviewed. There's some additional review that's still taking place
On the drainage for that.
on the drainage.
We got it.
Stephanie is doing that. The developer is obviously anxious to get those improvements done. I can't update the development permit and issue a move ahead on that plan set without court's approval. What's being requested today is a contingent approval by court with the contingencies in this letter that basically give Stephanie the ability to, with your permission today, issue no objection and us be able to use that plan set once that no objection has been issued. So there's a list of things that there's 7 items on this list of this conditional no objection.
Yeah.
From Lyle. Those would have to be met. Then they could use that plan project. I could also copy that plan set over into my development permit file and use that to finish it out. This gives them a new plan set to work off. I'll let Stephanie talk about some of the minor changes. Stephanie,
Have y'all seen this list?
Gotcha.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
The primary changes that need to be made are there's some transcription errors between the drainage calculations and the plan set. Those changes won't impact what's actually being constructed. It's just essentially like typos that are in the plans. There's some scaling issues where the plan set that we received maybe weren't plotted to scale. And so again, that's just kind of that's not really a change to the construction plans that's going to happen. It's just getting a final set that is constructible and to scale. And then we also want to make sure there's no other revisions that take place within the plan set from this point forward. If there are, then I think that should come back to court. But I don't believe there's any changes to make any other plan set, any other changes to that plan set.
I think we've already made all those changes and it's just a timing. We submitted those last Thursday or Friday and so to get.
Joe, you seen this?
Yes, sir. So my name is Joe Sherwin. We're not the engineer of record, but we represent Ms. Cox and her development group. So I talked to Stephanie last week. I got a precursor of this list and we went ahead and talked to the engineer of record. He corrected all of these things to the best of our knowledge and resubmitted on Thursday, I believe. So those have been done. And a lot of them, like Stephanie said, we're just changing some things around. We think he's met those. And again, he's got those in his office and Stephanie has those, but they have not finished. I don't believe that they finished that review until Andy comes back to y'all.
so in the meantime, instead of waiting for an initial commissioner's court, I think we're fairly close on review. To the court subject to those 7 items.
Yep, so that's my motion to approve.
Contingent upon the 7 items.
Listed
And-
in the letter from Lyle.
Motion to approve with only 7 items, man.
I'll second.
Do you want them listed or just the letter referenced?
Reference that letter, I think.
I got,
Get a copy.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Bill. Appreciate you. We got one more.
There's one more.
38, discuss and take action on authorizing signature on the correction instruments for drainage easements, removing Walker County as grantee.
Yeah, so a couple of instruments were filed that listed easements that they were using to conduct some of the drainage work. One across an owner, some on POA property. When those easements were initially issued, they named us as grantee. We didn't approve being named as grantee initially. That we were just included in those documents. They were filed without, as far as I know, without county's knowledge. So she's having us corrected to remove us, and as part of that removal, they would like our signature on there saying that we are agreeing to the removal. I checked with Quentin on us signing it, whether that created any issues. he seemed to think, that it was a reasonable request. So that's the case. I see him nodding. So,
He hadn't stood up.
that's why I had to bring it before, because I can't sign that. That has to come.
Okay.
So my motion is to approve, Judge Stein, the corrected instruments for drainage easements.
The judge or all of us?
The judge, and this
Okay,
was,
sounds good.
so the request came from the county, so they inadvertently added the county as a grantee to have that easement, and that
Okay.
was just legally. You kind of have a cloud on title, and you don't want that, so this will clean it up.
No, I'll second it. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, back up to 36. Discuss and take action on order 2025-16 to amend Walker County subdivision regulations under chapter 232 of the Texas Local Government Code.
So let's go. Talk about red line is first page. Proceeding through order number on page 3 and we also do well. Page 21. For language. With the surveying community. On what we meant by approximate, so we just are gonna remove the approximate there, and also under 4.21. Again, approximate variances. Variances. Stephanie, are you tracking with me here?
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing you.
I ain't really.
I ain't either.
Mark Rick, but ain't Rick, they gonna cook coffee.
Yeah, we black.
I got color cover and I still got black one.
421 and
Look, I got that look, I got that look.
17. Can you hear me,
Yes, sir.
Stephanie?
Yes, I
Page,
can.
38.
Remove the word approximate. Yeah, the dimensions need to be
30,
accurate, not approximate.
Right.
38, page 38.
Next change.
I think you're all the way to
Yeah, page 38. Under item F. It says currently no asphalt shall be placed without a no objection obtained from the county. We have some contractors that at their own risk want to move forward without that no objection. We don't necessarily oppose that. We just would change that language out for the language that says if they move forward without it, then they may jeopardize final certification or acceptance. So it's at their own risk, essentially. That would be the change there, just to clarify that they would have to violate our policy, protect themselves under that practice. B 1.12, show and label of proposed pavement and ditches, typical cross sections. Under typical cross sections and details, ditches were intended, so we want to make sure that that's area item. We've had an argument with one of the designers on that issue, so we just want to clarify it, that ditches are included in what needs to be in the design. And label. Next change, page 43. B 3.2. Just correct the spelling of the word curve. The word curve had stuck in there. 49. Monitoring by the certifying engineer will be performed. Here the certifying engineer was involved in monitoring the project regularly since they ultimately signed the certification. And then there's several places in here we'll go through where we updated to the proper name. As we had manual in there before, standard manual from there. to reflect the actual title of the document. B 6.1. Stephanie remove the lime stabilized subgrade shall achieve a pH of 12.7. Stephanie, I'll let you explain that.
Yes, originally we included that based on some recommendations from geotechnical engineer. Some other labs have raised concerns about that number. TxDOT's minimum is 12.4, so I think we need to do a little bit of we may add something back in there related to pH of subgrade, but I think for now we need to remove it and do some more investigation.
B 6.3, including some additional clarifying language, inspected and approved by the developers engineer.
Hold on. Sorry, my mind moves a little slow. B 6.1, lime stabilized subgrade shall achieve 12.7. TxDOT is 12.4. But we've got to have some measure of performance on it. If not, we may, they mix lime with it and think that out for me here.
So
They've got
in general, the contractors are required to meet the TxDOT standards for paving in Walker County. So that 12.4 requirement that's in the TxDOT spec will still hold. So we will defer to that. It's just not going to be specifically stated in the regulations. Well, I'm proposing it not be specifically stated in the subdivision regulations. I'd like to go back and review that a little further with the geotechnical engineers to make sure what we're proposing, something that is achievable and not above and beyond what should be the minimum requirement.
We're still going to reference TxDOT standards.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the 12.7 exceeded what was the standard in the specification. That right, Stephanie?
Yes, sir. That's
why it
correct.
was called out, because it exceeded the standards in the specification.
But that doesn't keep them from not having to meet TxDOT standards. I think that's where Brandon's going.
Right.
Yeah, they're still going to meet TxDOT standards. Even if we take this out.
Yes, sir. They will still meet TxDOT standard.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
B 6.3, the developer's engineer and an A2LA certified independent testing laboratory.
I'm gonna stop you again. If we're going by TxDOT standards, why aren't we even going back and researching the 12.7?
I would like it to still be included and referenced in the subdivision regulations. I think it just makes it a little more clear for those that are overseeing projects to have it stated in the subdivision regulations. But I believe we need to remove the 12.7 reference right now.
Yeah, I'm fine with removing it, but why are we gonna spend more time to go back and look at it? We're still gonna revert back to TxDOT standards.
I don't have to look into it if you don't. want
I'm
me to.
just asking. I'm not a road guy.
Well, I think it's good to clarify, obviously. I mean, the more information you put in here, the better it's gonna be. You're gonna have some that obviously always try to take advantage of the situation.
No.
You know?
Imagine that.
So, I mean, us calling out TxDOT standards, I think works for now, but in our next little revision, which is coming up pretty soon,
Okay.
I think we need to add in there what
What you
TxDOT
want.
actually calls.
Okay.
What probably happened, what usually happens, if you quote a number, and you have to be careful of it, if you quote a number like 12.7, at one time, that may have been TxDOT number.
Yeah.
And then they changed theirs to 12.4, we didn't keep
Yeah.
up. So
Right.
I would,
And if we're exceeding them, then that puts,
Yeah.
something that may not be.
yeah, so I like that of referencing, if we're gonna say TxDOT standards,
Just put TxDOT standard and they don't
reference-
spend no more time on it.
yeah, and we reference TxDOT standards. Because I've almost guaranteed that's what happened here.
Okay.
They were 12.7 and changed it to 12.4.
And that way we're not changing it every time.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, I'll give up for that. Go ahead, Stephanie. Sorry.
All right. So removing it leaves it at TxDOT standard.
Yeah, if we don't have it in there written someplace that says road base has a pH in compliance with text dot standard 260 or 132, that sentence needs to be in there.
And there is a text dot standard for lime stabilized.
Is it right there before?
Particular pH.
So, yeah,
12.7.
that's for plasticity though.
Is that right, Stephanie, or wrong?
Yeah, there's a text dot testing method under lime treated materials. So text dot 121E is the text dot
Yeah.
standard for lime treated materials.
So B 6.3, subrate shall be inspected and approved, adding the developer's engineer and shall be, courts shall be furnished to the county engineer. The assumption was almost assumed before we wanted to add the clarifying shall be, and then remove who must be approved for prior to application of the base material. Again, going back to we said previously about sometimes without the reports being received allows them the flexibility to do that, but it doesn't mean that we won't find a problem with the reports. Page 51, base material shall conform to 247. Again, adding some to clarify the title. B7. Next one is this one. I must have missed one.
Might have misheard you, but we took shall be type A, grade 1 or 2. We struck the or
Yeah,
D.
sorry, that's the big one. Yeah, B 7.1, flexible base, the base material shall be type A or D, grade 1 or 2, removing. That's the recycled material. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That would be, it would remove the option for recycled material.
You okay with that?
I'm fine with what I've seen.
That's a.
Yeah.
Then sort of wording changes for the most part.
This stuff. It's 2014. It's just most current text dot standards.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
The 11.6.
Change it all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Because they update theirs.
Yeah. A little while back in a workshop. The 11.6 is just updated. We're adding a B11.7 here. Public road name sign shall be green with white lettering. Private road name sign shall be with white lettering. This is for new developments. Obviously, you guys could follow with maintenance practices. This is really for new developments. Somehow, I'll let the court know we have some public road subdivisions that we have brown signs currently, right? If you look at the sort of text dot signage coloring list, brown is got 3 uses on there. It's recreational roads, which kind of mirrors private roads. Forest Service roads are often brown. In our case, we have sort of 2 types of Forest Service roads. We have some publicly maintained areas that are used for Forest Service roads. And we have some private or some Forest Service maintained. So maybe where those switch, where they're maintained by the Forest Service, we could do a change in color at those locations as well. Make it clear that you're now moving into a section of Forest Service road that's not maintained by the county. But those are all more maintenance practice. This is new development. So if the court adopts it, then what we would require is new developers come in, with public roads, there would be green signs, and private roads would be brown signs. We don't have anything beyond that. The other 2 colors I think that are sort of available are blue and orange. The rest of them are kind of taken.
Yeah.
So FYI.
And the way I read this, signage is different from standard maintained by the county should be maintained by the owner. So if you've got a subdivision that wants a different color sign, then they'll maintain it.
Right, or if they have a different design, like, for example, we have one subdivision where they have sort of a logo on there and it's a totally different sign design. And it'll be allowed to be used, but they're responsible. If we have to replace it, we're replacing it with a standard sign. And so they're responsible if they want to maintain it as they can, but they have to get approval, and then they're responsible for the maintaining of it.
So that's why I'm asking.
That part was already in the code.
Yeah, so when you get at 11.7, public road name sign shall be green with white lettering. That's, you're gonna do it this way. Private roads shall be brown with white lettering. We have a subdivision that comes in and wants whatever colors, that's shall. Right? That means your new subdivisions, and I'm just pointing it out, I'm okay with it.
They can come for a variance and ask.
It would be shall, and if they want to do something other than that, it would have to come before.
Yes, we're not completely.
And should it not reference back to the text dot standards again there too? Because we went through that, me and Brandon went through it anyhow. I remember when they changed all that, we had to go the taller height on the signs and all that. It was a big rigmarole. I don't know, that may be a Stephanie question, but
And since you brought that up, yes, we went from 3-inch lettering to 4-inch lettering, all caps to the first letter capitalized. But then the text dot side also is when you build that sign, that lettering has to be
the reflective, yeah.
guaranteed for 7 years, I think. That's why it's so expensive.
So under 11.1, Stephanie, you correct me if I'm wrong. Under 11.1, the last sentence there. Names shall be displayed on standard intersection road marker signs erected by the owner in compliance with Texas MUTCD street name signs at the locations is indicated on the construction plans. That TX MUTCD is where all that stuff is laid out.
Yeah, I know it's mentioned several times through there, so I guess
We
that's.
should repeat it on 11.7.
Well, as long as they get, as long as they get the gist of it, I mean, because I know there is a regulations on the type of sign.
Stephanie, what, do you have any thoughts on needing to repeat that standard there? Or you think we're covered under 11.1?
So 11.1 does cover the requirement for the signs to meet the TMUCD, which typically TMUCD does call out that public roads shall be green, signs with white lettering. The deviation would be the private roads being brown signs with white lettering, because that table in the TMUCD does not specify what a private road should be.
So, any more questions or?
No. Good.
That was added based on comments made by court during the workshops. 12.8, to clarify for the way that we're viewing it, but to make sure that everybody's on the same page right now, it says exceptions may be allowed when the owner can demonstrate. This is exceptions to using particular mechanism to look at runoff discharge. It says mitigation without detention based on engineering timing analysis. Like, I'm not enough of a explaining timing analysis to you in great detail, but the idea was that only in rare circumstances would that be allowed, and a variance would have to be gotten. It could be obtained where they could demonstrate no adverse effect to downstream properties, but it says exceptions instead of variance. So we want to make sure the language is clear. It said variance and not exceptions. Because previous to that, it says pretty clearly mitigation without detention based on engineering timing analysis cannot be used. But make sure we were clear that part of variance. It's the way we've been applying it. We want to make sure. 12.8C. Variances are required for off-site detention basins when located on the parent track outside the platted boundary. We've had some developers that want to put detention on outside the boundary of where they're platting. Maybe they own a larger tract of land. They show a plat that includes a smaller area of the larger tract that already requires a variance. If they're going to locate some of the detention in that area that's not going to be included in the plat boundary, that would have to come through Commissioner's Court. Yeah. Page 62. Page 62. After construction, shall submit signed and sealed. Again, sometimes we learn what we take for granted. If it's certified, it should be signed and sealed, but we want to make clear to everyone that ours is still a signature. A signed developer certification completion, a completed development permit with development certification. And then we are, for approval in parentheses, because they won't have a final, permit until the plans are approved. If the construction includes a bridge, additional items may be required. We don't have a lot of bridge construction, but when we do, those are more complicated. Additional data is required on those. Prior to certification of completion, all punch lists will be completed, except on provided. That's prior to us bringing it back to Commissioners Court for substantial completion approval. So it's nothing really different than what we're doing. It's just adding that language in there to make sure everybody's on the same page. 64. We're removing with field notes here on. So discussion about what was field notes, whether full sets of field notes need to be included on the plat, whether the boundary line shown would suffice. So to clarify, we just changed that language described herein to not require the full field notes of the parent tract on the cover sheet of the plat. We had some protests from surveyors related to that. We don't have an issue with that. Court doesn't. That gets us to the next one, which is county clerk certification.
I'm looking to see what I sent in that is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think we tried that here.
There is a couple of things on here because it's not registered, it is recorded. I did a couple of markups.
Still wanting chocolate things. So.
And I mean, I had it to where, mine looks different.
Yeah, it's a little different. Some stuff. Incorporate all the changes.
But you added stuff that doesn't need to be in.
Yeah, we can leave it off. I just think it would make it
I mean,
better.
I can re-email this to you now if you want.
We'll skip the changes on page 65 for now. I'll bring that back.
Is that way we get it right, Andy?
Yeah, I think that's it. Stephanie, did I get them all? Got the condition version there.
I didn't see the ETJ in there.
He's still working. We're waiting here.
Not yet.
Where is it at in our policy, Andy, that just like we got through dealing with that stuff on Highway 30, that they didn't meet our specifications? Where's it at in our policy that we can show the city that, hey, if y'all don't meet ours, we may not take your roads?
Oh, so the acceptance. Question about the acceptance of roads for maintenance is beyond the scope of the policy. The policy deals with standards and that these roads have to meet certain criteria before being submitted to the court for approval for maintenance. But just because it meets these standards doesn't mean it has to approve those roads or take those roads into maintenance. Assume the same principle would apply to the city. It may meet the subdivision requirements, it may be platted, may have roads built. But if those roads don't meet the requirement of the commissioner's court to look at them for maintenance, then the court can reject them if it's not in the public's best interest for the court to take those roads into maintenance. That's more of a probably a Quentin question than a me question. It's my best effort. There's a separate policy, it's very short now, that may need to be beat out more by the court on acceptance of roads for maintenance. Right now, basically, this says if it doesn't meet our subdivision regulations, then we won't look at it for acceptance for maintenance. I think it's basically what it says now, but it's like a very short one adopted back in the nineties. I'd have to dig it up. I don't know if it's been updated since then.
Well, as you know, our little dictators on the other side over it don't have any problem signing that little document saying it's complete for them. And then it doesn't even come close to meeting our stuff.
Probably one of the most significant differences now is where the court has curb and gutter streets, they've adopted a concrete standard for pavement, whereas the city still allows asphalt. And so if there are developers developing in the ETJ that are putting in asphalt streets, and then they come to you guys for maintenance, I guess a decision will have to be made at that time.
But there again, it's too late.
Well, if they don't meet our policy and we got concrete, I'll just say we don't take the dang roads. But they need to know that before
Right.
they build them. I mean, that's my
That's what I'm
point,
saying,
you
it's too
know?
late.
Yeah.
I
For the
can,
developer.
I think the court could communicate to them. I mean, I know that they know that we've adopted a concrete standard for our streets. If the court wanted to communicate to them a desire for those streets to be constructed to that standard, if they want to come for maintenance, pass that on to the developers. We don't necessarily get contact with the developers until later in the project, and our review is not under the subdivision regulations. Our review is only under floodplain management.
Right.
So they're the point of contact for those developers today to let them know that would have to come from the city. Me directing that toward the city, I can't act on behalf of the commissioner's court. If the court wants to issue some sort of directive, instructing them that in future projects that are ongoing now, that we will not be looking at those roads for maintenance unless they meet that concrete standard, or if there's other standards the court feels very strongly about. That would, I think, be
Of course, if they don't put metal in their own concrete, why would we want them to inspect ours?
They better be.
But I don't remember, Andy, in our last meeting with them, I don't remember bringing that up. You?
You
Bring it.
About
Bring it up if
the
we don't take
difference
the
in-
roads?
No, the
We
difference
just
in-
told them that our standards in some areas
Yeah.
are strict than theirs.
Yeah.
That's why we want to control
Yeah, I
the
don't think-
ETJ.
I don't think we talked about the differences between the curb and gutters,
Alright.
concrete versus asphalt. So they may not even know about
And
that.
see, they're allowing what, 40-something foot lots where we don't at this time.
Right.
So I mean, where's that throw us when it comes to us and they want us to take the roads? That's my point. The developers need to know something, and they're stuck in the middle. And it's not a good place for them to be. That's just me. But I can say this, if they don't meet our standards, I'm not gonna recommend the precinct 2 take their roads. So.
So, again, one of the issues, direct communication.
Just remember that for our meeting. Hey Stephanie, so back to that other stuff we were talking about, it says, text dot standards based on the 2014. Can we just change all those to most current text dot standards? So we're not changing them every time text dot, we don't lose those loopholes?
We can change that, and we are actually looking at changing that in the next time we
Okay.
bring back the subdivision regulations, because TxDOT
Yeah.
did, 2024 is actually the most current regulations. I
We got
believe.
2014 in ours, but if we just set it most current, we're always up on the most current. We're not changing it every 10 years when we're out.
Yes, sir.
I'm good with all concrete too. Do away with everything but concrete. We want it to be county
Anybody got anything else?
maintained roads.
Questions, concerns? Motion?
to approve the amendments excluding page 65, the county clerk's certification.
I'll second that.
Moving,
Did we take out the concrete?
Yeah, it's type D stuff.
Okay, all right.
moving seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. All right, anything for executive session, Quentin? Yeah,
We need,
public comment.
Let me ask you, are you gonna send a list? You talking about having a pretty major update between now and, are you gonna send a note out to us?
I'll send a rental in it. Then if obviously, we can be in our little committee and we bring the members of the board or whatever. Take a first run at it, that'd be fine. Great court and I'll try to get you guys it's gonna be more substantial than this. If you guys on.
Who was on that committee?
I'd be happy to do it again.
You want to keep it? Y'all, either one of y'all interested in that committee?
No, I think they were good last time.
Y'all too.
All right.
We're in.
Yeah, y'all done a good job, whatever it was. I didn't do it. I'm proud of y'all, whatever it is.
All right.
What did I do?
Yep. Any public comments? Questions from media? Commissioners Court. We do have applications online for CPS if you have people that would like to serve. But it's a monthly meeting that they have to attend. We can have the CPS court,
I'm gonna.
7 to 14 people or 7 to 15 people according to the state, so. All right, I'm gonna meeting adjourned at 10.